Good day and welcome back to Mike's Radio Repair and Restoration. We're continuing on with part 2 of our Amazon 20 amp Variac review. I originally had only planned to do a 2-part series on this device, but since the end of the last one, I've had a chance to take it right apart and have a look at everything, and I have found so many problems. We're obviously going to go into a 3-part special mini-series on this disastrous device. So I'm going to take you through all the problems I found and what the repair for it is. The bottom line at this point is the auto transformer inside is actually a good, reasonable quality unit. It seems to be well made. It's made out of copper. I don't have any grief about how the actual auto transformer itself is made. I have great grief with how they've wired this. And so, like I said, I'm going to go through this a piece at a time. I'm going to put up some pictures. I'm going to shoot some video, and we'll go through them all so that you know what the issues are. And again, this is only focused on this 20 amp unit. There are other ones out there that are 10 amps or 5 amps or even less. I have no idea what the insides of those are wired like. I'm guessing there could be similar issues, but this is the 20 amp one. This one's got issues. So let's start going through right from the beginning, shall we? Okay, here we are looking in the guts like we did last time. Let's go through some of these issues here. The first issue is this is rated at 20 amps, which I said in my last video really didn't wash because our maximum allowable plug-in is 15 amps. And at 15 amps, if you're going to use all the 15 amps or close to it, code requires that we have 14 gauge wiring. The plug they chose to use on this unit is 16 gauge. So that's the first problem. Of course, and as I had shown before, they had glued this in and it came apart. The next real big smoking problem is it is wired backwards. They have the hot constantly being fed through the transformer. So even when you turn this unit off, this transformer winding is still live. They have the neutral passing through the switch or through the fuse, then to the switch here, and it's just totally backwards. The hot should be switched at this point. And I had mentioned, and I'll throw up pictures as we go here now, that I know you can't see that wire very well, but we'll put one up for you, a picture where it's really close. It was soldered onto there, and I just wiggled it and it came off, and there's no solder residue attached to that lug whatsoever. So that was really shocking. The next shocking thing is that one of the other Amazon users reported that his case wasn't grounded, that where they put the ground terminal, and I'll put up another picture, where they had grounded to the case, it didn't remove the paint, and he is absolutely correct. It was grounded over to I bumped the camera, folks. In between the case, I don't know if you can see that. You really can't. I'll do another photo of that. But down, nope, you can't see that either. Oh, not doing so well today. There's a screw hole right here. This is where they have the ground lead. I'll put up a picture. And the paint on here and the paint on the upper case wasn't removed. And although there was ground detected on the bottom of this unit, there was no ground detected on the upper part of this case. So not only did we have power running through this all the time, even when it was off, we didn't have any grounding on the case, which is kind of scary. I'm going to put up another picture of how they soldered this thing. Well, actually, let's go back to the ground for just a second. And I'll throw up another picture of this. You can't really see it well on video, but this is 18 or possibly even 20 gauge ground wire they used to ground this whole unit? I don't think so. Also, some of the other jumper wires they've used is a lesser gauge as well. And I mean, the meter wiring is just Mickey Mouse. The connections are all Mickey Mouse. But let's move on here now. I'm going to throw up a close-up image of this. Instead of passing the wire through the hole of connectors, doing a proper wrap and then soldering it, they just soldered it right directly to the connector without doing any wrap. So the soldering is extremely poor, and the solder is also extremely poor quality. So, wow. The next thing is this is a 95 cent or a 25 cent or a 5 cent fuse holder, and it's just not going to stand up to 15 amps of current. So that's a pretty long laundry list, between this being 16 or 18 gauge wire and it being glued down, and this ground wire being completely inadequate and the grounding being completely inadequate. This is a disastrous device waiting for somebody to come along and something bad happen. So part 3 is going to be me repairing all of this. And I'm going to do it because I had said earlier that the actual auto transformer itself wasn't bad. It looks to be fairly well made. So we'll redo all this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace this cord with a 14 gauge lead-in with a proper strain relief. That's step 1. Step 2 is I'm going to remove this fuse holder, and I've just got in a 15 amp push button type breaker that's properly rated for this job. We will redo these connections here properly. I will desolder all of this, and all the wires coming from the auto transformer appear to be proper 14 gauge wire. So I will redo all of the wiring and all of the joints on the back of these plugs, and I'm also going to add an additional meter, one that I can actually read. So I'm going to freshen up all the wire. It's all going to be 14 gauge. It's all going to be soldered properly and cleaned up. A proper breaker, proper connections done at the switch, a proper strain relief with 14 gauge wire. So it's a big long laundry list. Oh yeah, so we're going to fix up the ground. We're going to put a proper ground wire on it. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take the paint off at several spots around the base circle where the screws tighten up, so that the base and the upper are properly grounded. I will probably drill a hole in the bottom of this case, clean the paint off it, and bring a master ground with a nut and bolt here. So this case will be positively grounded, and then from there it'll go to the other 2 pieces where they'll be positively grounded. So all of that work should make it safe. So I guess I'm going to quit my whining and call this a wrap for this video, but I wanted to give everybody a short update of how many problems I found in such a little period of time on this piece of equipment. With a little bit more effort and a proper wire, this could have been a good product. I will state that if you embark on this project yourself, make sure you know what you're doing. You do so at your own risk. If you don't know what you're doing, or you have any doubts, or you don't think you have the ability to do it, get a trained professional to do it for you, because this is a lot of wiring and a lot of alterations and a lot of change. So safety is key. So if you have the skills and you understand what you're doing, you do so at your own risk. If not, take it to somebody who can help you out. Again, the only worst point for me is the actual transformer is good. So I'm going to fix this up, and please subscribe. I could use the subscribers, and we'll see you again on part 3 when I get a lot of these changes done. We'll go through them and take a look at them and show how much better they are. Once we get the unit all back together, we'll put it through the same test we put it to in part 1, where we did a 750 watt or about a 7 amp test, and we'll take it up to 15 amps with a portable heater, and we'll let them each run for an hour, and we'll see how the unit performs as compared to when it came from the manufacturer. So have a good day. Please subscribe, and we'll see you again in the next one.